Welcome to the Neysa Mohammed Show, transforming the planet one story at a time, bringing forth beauty, truth, and goodness. I am Neysa Mohammed, and here today with us we have Dr. Amanda Kemp and the Theater of Transformation. Hi everyone, how is everyone today?
Good, thank you.
Great.
Okay. We're good.
Would you each like to introduce yourself?
My name is Gabriel, and I'm the lead role in my mom's new play called Emancipation Sweet, and I'm 14 years old.
I'm Amanda Kemp, and I'm not going to tell you how old I am. I'm the playwright.
And I'm Michael Jamanis, and I am the violinist in the play.
So, Amanda, tell us about the Theater of Transformation and their purpose.
Well, Theater for Transformation was founded in 2007 when I was in on a sabbatical, on a spiritual retreat. So I spent like a whole year at a retreat center. Half of the time was with Gabriel and my daughter Makeda. But when I got the message to form the company was before they had joined me. And while I was at the retreat center, I was really searching for what is my purpose in this world? What am I here to do? Because I was completing a lot of things in my life. I completed my teaching career in academia. I had completed a marriage. And it was like, what am I here for? And what came to me was Theater for Transformation, that I'm really here to transform the planet and to heal the planet through theater and through writing and just reminding people of what's possible.
Nice. So, what would you like our viewers to know about you and your Theater for Transformation? Theater for Transformation.
Theater for Transformation. I'd like you to know that that we're a small company with a big heart and a big vision. So when you see plays that we do, you're not just seeing great art because you are seeing great art, but you're seeing great art that makes a difference. So we present work about people you've never heard about. Usually these people are relegated to the footnotes, if at all mentioned in the history books. So we're there to inform you and inspire you. And one thing that's really close to my heart is really working with young people. So this is the first time that I've written a play where the lead character was actually someone who was really young. And that's presented, some challenges for us in terms of rehearsal times and availability and things like that. But I think it's paid off in terms of younger people liking the show because there is someone like them in it.
Mm. So could you say a little bit more about the upcoming show that you're working on?
Sure. So the upcoming show is called Emancipation Sweet, and it's about a boy whose name is Emancipation Sweet, who hates history but loves basketball. And he's always in conflicts with his mom about his identity, about being, reading enough and knowing African American history. And all he wants to do is pretty much, run the ball up and down the court.
And dunk it.
And dunk it. Most importantly, and dunk it. But the other thing I just want to say about the play is that it's fueled by music. So the plot gets moved along and gets carried by music. And I think that's the other thing that's characteristic of my work. Is music is the fundamental part of every show, even though I don't call my plays musicals. So the violin is an important part of the show. It helps to take us back in a time. It helps to express emotion. It tells us where we are, what city we're in, what time period we're in. So it's been a real, so it's a fundamental part of the show, and it's been a real pleasure to work on the show with Michael, my fiance, and Gabriel, my son.
So Michael, could you, so the music piece, is it an original score? Is it something that you guys created, or does it come from something and it's a mix of stuff that's already been created? Could you tell us a little bit about the musical score?
Yeah, and what you just asked, it's loaded. It's a loaded question because actually the musical score, what is being set to the Emancipation Proclamation is a piece from 1720 by Johann Sebastian Bach, and it's in chaconne, which is something that I never ever dreamed of performing it to the Emancipation Proclamation. That's kind of the centerpiece of the prologue, and so you have this work from this monumental work from 1720, accompanying this monumental work from 1863 or 1862, and the way they fuse together, they make them the powerfulness of each of them play off of each other, and I think make each of them even more powerful in their own right, and you can listen to them in a much different way. So it's not original, or I mean, it's by Bach, and then what we do as part of the time travel, I take little segments of the chaconne, which is, the chaconne is actually a theme and variations, all these different variations, and so I take a few different variations, and we spin through time, and then those variations segue into a piece indicative of the time that we're landing in. Like we land in 1913. I don't know how much I'm supposed to give away.
1913 in New York.
And then we do a rag of Scott Joplin. I kind of segue from Bach into Joplin, and that he wrote in 1913. And so that's one example of how the music's incorporated into it.
That's wonderful. So what I heard is that like the music that you created, it's not purely created by you, but how it's implemented into the show is a major contributing factor to how like the whole picture gets painted for people, so that they have this experience of transformation right there on the stage. So
yeah, putting Bach in a theatrical context. It's putting Bach and Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation with Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech, three things that you would normally never hear together, putting them together, and so changing how you think about them and how you have maybe experienced them previously.
yeah. So Gabe, Gabe, when you're there and you're performing on stage, what's your experience of the music?
The music, it helps me time. It helps me time my lines. It helps me with my beats, the emotions I'm feeling, and it's really easy to get deep in with the play, with the music going. So when I'm acting, when I'm up there on the stage, the music just helps me go that extra depth into it.
That's great. And what have you gotten out of like being the character that you are on stage, like for yourself?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
What have you gotten for yourself out of playing the character that you are on the stage? Like maybe like what did you learn for yourself or discover?
Okay, well, I've learned a whole bunch of hard facts, such as the date of the March on Washington, or the 150th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation. But I've also learned about more broad things, like just broad African American history, how it's infused, and how we were brought up to be free, I guess.
Anything about myself, it would be my name. I will not be a sweet anything.
All persons held as slaves within any state shall be thenceforward free.
So every year we go to the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. You're a wannabe, Mom.
So that's your mama, huh? You got some Obama mama drama.
What do you know about the March in Washington?
They came for things like voting rights, education, to sit at a lunch counter. What, you think you better than us? You think you know better? Could have done better than all these marching Negroes? You do know.
Yeah.
So do you mean, like, when you said the broad African American history infused, are you saying that you learned parts of history you didn't know before, or is it more like you had a feeling about it that you didn't have before you did the play?
Well, both of those things. New ideas, yeah. So new ideas of what other people had and how those ideas changed.
And maybe what it was like during that time.
Would you like me to talk about myself or the character I play?
Both.
Oh, okay. So
They're both here.
I'll be attending Westtown as a freshman next year, and I do play basketball. And I've learned to appreciate history more through the play, but before the play, I didn't really appreciate history that much at all. I play Emancipation Sweet, and he's a lot like me. We have a lot of things in common.
Why do you have a lot in common? What was your role in the script? Sorry, mother.
He does not like history, and he does not like his name, which is Emancipation, because it has to do with history. But he does like basketball, and through the course of the play, he learns to appreciate his name, and he learns a bunch of hard facts, of course, too.
What about you?
I told him I learned hard facts.
He said that.
Okay. Gabriel helped me to write the play. Well, maybe Gabriel critiqued the play. What would you say about your role in the writing of the play?
My mom would ask kind of the language of a 14-year-old, like how I express myself. There's certain moments in the play where you need a 14-year-old's point of view, and I help put that in.
Yes, he did a great job with that.
How did you like being a part of that process?
Well, while I was being a part of the process, I didn't know that I was going to actually play the character that I am. So I thought it was really helpful that I got to actually write part of the things that I was going to be saying.
Yeah, because then it sounds like you.
Yeah, exactly.
Take your hands off me.
You can't go home. You're in segregated Washington, D.C. with the rest of us Negroes.
I'll just show the boy around back where deliveries are.
Just so he learns. You know what I mean, boy?
What's this?
Somebody being hung.
They call that a lynching when it's done by a mob of white folks who dip you in coal oil and then set your body on fire before they hang you.
Cover me, willow, willow, weep for me.
Speak to the people suffering now.
I don't know what to say.
Your name.
Emancipation. Look up. Reach for my hands.
That blood, that's your blood. That's you too, boy.
My Lord set my people free.
Bless me.
Maybe you need to find out why you keep saying, I stabbed my dad when I was 14. Probably made it up. I know who I am. Maybe you need to find out who you are.
Who is this I'm talking to now?
Ooh, Mom. You're talking to Emancipation Sweet.
Exactly.
Great.
His sister actually read the script early on, too, and she offered a very good critique of the script from a writer perspective. She was amazing. She was like, it's not going anywhere, Mommy. She was, like, really good.
So would you say that the Theater for Transformation, what they do is they incorporate everyone's opinion, like as a team, to have the whole thing turn out in the best possible way that it can?
That's a good question, because Michael and I were talking about this.
Yeah.
We've been working on the play now for, this will be our third rendition of it. And we just did a read-through, because I've been revising it. Each time we do it, I revise it. And we did a read-through with the cast. And many people had opinions besides Gabriel, and from the cast, including the musicians and the other actors. And I listened to them because they've been engaged in creating the characters and creating the feeling in the moment. So, but it was a lot of feedback. And as a writer, I can be very protective or defensive.
Well, that's natural. Great. So, well, I'm not quite sure. Like, I got that you get feedback from people in the play.
Yeah, because, when he tells me that doesn't sound right, or can I say it this way, if there's not a reason to say it the way I wrote it, and he wants to say it a different way, I'll say yes. Or, Miss Lou, another character had a point of view about the police scene. There's a scene of conflict between him and a police officer. And it was going to go one way, but she said what she said, and I was like, oh, okay, let's shift it. So it is a collaborative process, and it does make it better.
It does. Mm-hmm. I was amazed how receptive you were. That rehearsal, that reading. I mean, that was.
Yeah, Michael works with a lot of classical musicians. They're not as receptive as me.
They're very egocentric. I think I was thrilled with the result afterwards.
Yeah, it was better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm kidding about classical musicians.
Yeah, I am too. I'm kidding.
Amanda, would you like to tell us about when it's upcoming in Philadelphia, the play that you're working on?
Sure. So we're going to do Emancipation Sweet at the Society Hill Playhouse on South 8th Street in Philadelphia as part of the Philadelphia Fringe Festival. We'll perform on September the 21st, Saturday, 2 shows only. A 5 p.m. show, which is pay what you can, and an 8 p.m. show, which is ticketed for $20.
Okay. Great. And so I know we spent a lot of time talking about this particular play that's coming up. So would you say the nature of a lot of the stuff that you work on at the Theater for Transformation is like this, or is it all different in the area of transformation?
Would I say it's like similar in the similar vein of this play?
Yes.
Yeah, all the stuff we do is historical. It's all researched. Like I said, all of it is music. We have a dog here, a chocolate lab, who's great.
Jay.
And so, for example, Michael and I have been working on a performance lecture called Phyllis Wheatley, Voice of Freedom. And Michael plays the violin, and I do some narration and actually take on the character of Phyllis Wheatley. So we're going to be doing that in Chester on October the 8th at 2 p.m. at the Chester Senior Center. So we do things in community-based spaces, and we do things in theatrical spaces. That's just an example of something else coming up in the Philadelphia area.
And is there a particular community that you're interested in your Theater for Transformation actually reaching? Like if you could have your work be available to any particular kind of people, community, anything like that, who would you want to be at your shows?
That's a great question. I have an answer, of course, but I'm actually curious as to what Gabriel and Michael think. I don't know what they'll say, but so Gabriel, who would your ideal audience be for Emancipation Sweet when we go to Philly?
Well, people from Lancaster, of course, just because it's kind of nice having those familiar faces in the crowd just to kind of cheer you on. But people my age, teenagers, maybe younger, maybe older, so that I can kind of relate to them, because that's what the play's about. It's about relating to other people, and it's about inspiring them to do things. So people from Lancaster, people from Philly, and people my age.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would agree with him. I think intergenerational audiences are the best. I'm not interested, well, let me put it this way, I love it when people from a variety of ages come together, especially young people. I almost feel like, what's the point of doing something if you don't have any young people in the audience? Because if we're really talking about impacting what happens in the long term, we have to impact people his age, people, who are 12, 10. I mean, really, if we're not talking to them, we're not going to have a long-term impact. So that's important to me. But I don't think that, I think that when kids are by themselves in a performance as opposed to with adults, they get less. If you mix them with adults and they hear adults laughing at certain pieces, it raises their curiosity. I think the whole audience is enriched when you have a mixture of people. And on that point, I would also say a racial mixture. As it stands right now, we tend to either play for predominantly white audiences or predominantly black audiences. We haven't played, as a company, typically we don't play for audiences that are like really balanced racially. So I would love to see that kind of balance in an audience.
Well, I know when I have been promoting this show to all my friends and colleagues, I say this show should really be seen by everyone. And I think of people my parents' generation, in their 70s, they need to see this show. And then I have friends my age who have kids Gabe's age. They need to see this show. And a lot of what this theater company puts on is so educational and also accessible at the same time. So it's enjoyable by adults, and appreciated, but it really gets a point across to students. And I kind of tend to disagree with the idea that kids get things more when they're with adults. I mean, I want to have kids in the audience. In Philly, I want to have exactly the kind of audience you're saying. But I think that a lot of what Theater for Transformation presents is so appropriate for educational institutions. That's a really clear channel of its mission, I think. But then it transcends into just the concert stage or the theater stage, and so it does both. So it's really for everyone. There's not a person out there that shouldn't be in the audience.
We only have 100 seats.
Right.
Right. Fill them up, right? So I've got one last question for you. And my question is doing this work a passion of yours? Is it something that really lights you up and you're like happy to do it in any moment in your life? So, and I realize for Gabe, there's lots of things that he would probably be happy doing, but is this like one of them?
So, my favorite actor is Will Smith. And before I go to the stage, I like to listen to a few interviews that he has about acting, about his job and things like that. So Will Smith is a really great guy, and he's a really, really great actor. So when I'm acting, I try to duplicate that in a way. So I love acting, and since Will Smith is kind of like one of my role models, I guess like acting is something that I wouldn't mind doing for the rest of my life. But if there's a basketball game on, or or if there's a pickup game or something, I might go with the basketball game.
Great. What about you, Amanda?
It is my passion. Absolutely. If I could be doing anything in the world, it's creating. It's creating theater. Whether I'm writing for the stage or being on stage, which is not my favorite, or preparing actors to go on stage, which I like. I love that world. To me, it's like church. It's real live, real time, heart-to-heart communication. So there's no place I'd rather be.
Beautiful.
I'm the same way with the violin. I mean, I love performing. It's been in my blood forever. And in addition to that, the idea of bringing performances to new audiences and new types of mixture of performances, like what I'm doing with the Bach Chaconne. I think I like doing that. I like being a little bit out of the box. How can I bring this piece to audiences that may not necessarily have ever heard it?
Right.
Well, okay, and so I love doing that. And I also like, it's a true passion of mine to educate younger audiences too. But it all flows through my violin.
That's really
Although
great.
he does say, yeah.
Yeah!
One line.
That's my one line in the play.
We're giving it back to him.
Good.
Well, thank you so much, you guys, for all of you being here. It was a wonderful conversation. Just thank you. I acknowledge you all for being here and taking the time to do the interview and tell us what you and the Theater for Transformation is about.
Thank you for having us,
Thank you,
Neysa.
Neysa.
We really appreciate all your staff, too, especially Lady G.
Yeah.
Thank you.